All right. I hope you guys are enjoying the book, Lessons from a Church in Zombieland. And if you haven't had a chance to scroll and check that one out, definitely go to the Rob Bryson YouTube channel and check out that podcast. And we're going to do a little interruption kind of in the middle of the book right now with this video because my daughters are in town. Say hi, girls.
Hello.
Introduce yourself real quick.
Hi, I'm Anika. That's it.
Yeah.
And I'm Kelsey.
All right. And they were the worship team with us downtown. And so I thought we would take a moment and just tell some of the stories from your guys' perspective. Because you were downtown with all those homeless people doing the grind, watching the meals get made. So what are some things that you guys remember from those years? And they were your teen years. All your high school years were spent in a downtown urban church with really no youth group, no other high school kids, surrounded by drunks and addicts. So tell me a couple of things that you guys recall.
Yeah, well, I'll start. So we moved to Washington when I was 15 going on 16. So it was like really kind of critical years to a young woman's life, right? In my sophomore year of high school. So I'd crossed the threshold of high school, but, then coming here and making a whole new life. But so I remember those first few years at First Covenant. It was just Kelsey and I, and one other gal in the church who were teenagers. And so I remember having the three of us be really good friends and banding together. And that was really great because we did have friends and we kind of got to have I don't know, somebody walking that journey as a teenager with us. I remember going to school and telling our friends a lot about, what church do you go to? And we go to First Covenant, down there on the corner by Dick's Burgers. And then when we would tell them what our church was, we'd have worship rehearsal every week, and then we'd lead the service every Sunday, and then I would tell them stories of like, it's it's drug addicts and homeless people and prostitutes, and that's our church. The usual. And I always thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Because what teenager gets to grow up kind of learning to love those people around you instead of just hearing the stories of that you should do that, but actually getting to know these people and recognize them as humans and learn what Jesus would do for them. And we got to actually live our life putting those practices of Jesus, those examples that Jesus gave us, like into life. And so I don't know, I thought it was really cool. It was hard. It was really hard. But,
well, and I recall you telling stories about how your friends couldn't even believe the church was an open building. They thought it was closed. And that building's so old, decrepit. Isn't that a shut down place? No, it's still functioning. So, and I recall making you guys look for a youth group because we didn't have one. They're going to be good for you because you mentioned that other girl. And we started the meals about 10 months into our tenure there, and then she left. So it's just you guys. Yeah. When we started the meals, she was gone.
Yeah.
So I made you guys go to a youth group, and you've got a few stories about that. So, Kelsey, you got to...
Yeah. You'll probably remember some of it a little bit better than I do. I think we have some different memories that have stuck with us. I think for me, the experience of the Lessons from a Church in Zombieland were more of an identity against your mainstream Christianity at that point. I thought for me it was like, I'm the daughter of the cool pastor doing downtown urban ministry. I think at my 14, 15 years, I didn't truly understand what that meant.
Yeah.
Because right before we moved, we had been attending a California megachurch youth group that we had previously gone to before
Very
you went to
church.
Before you did your own church plan. We went back to that youth group, so it was kind of a weird 180 to then be in Spokane as the new girl, and now attending this completely different youth group.
Yeah.
Culture shock.
So there was a time when the new youth group that I made you guys go to, which didn't last long, decided they would do a mission trip down to downtown Spokane for the homeless. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So it was around the winter holidays because I remember being bundled up and they were like, okay, we're gonna go and we're gonna minister to the homeless in the downtown Spokane community. And for Anika and I, we were like, oh yeah, this is our bread and butter. We got
were
this.
so excited.
We got this. These are our people, right? We'll teach them what it's like to love the lost.
Yeah.
Was I think my attitude towards it, and so we get down there, and I'll let you speak because you have a bit more of a bigger memory
Yeah.
than I do of this. Like,
Yeah. So the idea was, yeah, we would take the whole youth group, which I think was maybe a couple hundred kids. Like that could be a really large number, but
Yeah.
I remember it was a big group of kids, and they were able to split us off into like 3 chunks of probably 10 or 15 of us, and each group had like a leader who would kind of
So
help
about
us
50 of the
navigate
kids decided to opt in for this little
Probably.
mission trip to downtown.
Yeah. And
So
it
you're in a
was-
group of 15.
Yeah, and it was, I remember it was at night, sometime in the evening, because it was dark outside. And the idea was that we would just kind of take like, okay, this group is going to go to this section of downtown, and this group is going to go to this section of downtown. We're just going to walk a couple blocks and see who there is to see. And we're just going to ask homeless if they need prayer. We're going to pray over them. And, it's cold, so let's give them hot chocolate too. We'll give them a prayer, and we'll give them some hot chocolate, and then, just that was kind of it. That was kind of
And
the
move on.
mission, and move on. And yeah, I think Kelsey and I both had the same idea of like, oh yeah, we're gonna show them what it means to like we know these people. These are our buddies. They know us. So we definitely got humbled in the process too.
Why? What happened that was so different? I mean, your expectations were completely flipped.
Yeah. So I think the heart was really great, but so I'll speak to my experience, but I won't speak to yours. So what I experienced as we were walking downtown, I think I imagined in my head that it would be us going to a group and us kind of putting ourselves,
Relationally
connecting. Thank you. Yes. And sitting with them and hearing their stories, asking them
Yeah.
about their holidays, or what they were doing. It's such a different
Yeah.
holiday experience anyway. And really getting to know them before we pray over them, learning their names. What ended up happening was I remember being in one specific block of downtown that was kind of in a rougher area of the neighborhood, not very far
Yeah.
from.
Hold on, I'm going to
Yeah.
catch up with it. Have Claire come over here. Claire, I want you to do this so I can catch this on the video here.
Welcome.
All right.
Hi,
This
Claire.
is Claire. She currently works and we're not seeing you, just your hands. And she's going to show a little bit of what we do here. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, baby.
Is the pumpkin spice.
Can I see it?
Yeah, and this one is for me, and that one's for Carson. So you guys, your drinks are coming later. Carson is Nika's husband off camera here. So, ooh, yeah.
This is good though.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
had this latte and it's very
It's a good one. All right. And you guys are seeing Claire's hands, but when Claire was like in 6th grade, she was under your tutelage. Yay.
We were doing.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, thanks, Claire. Your guys' drinks will be
They're
coming.
coming, yep.
So. All right, so
All right.
picking up where we were. You were downtown.
So we were downtown. We were on.
And you're thinking, okay, we're going to relationally meet people, get to know them a little bit, say hi, have conversations, and that's not what happens at all.
No, and I would say too. I think I went into, I had that expectation walking into the night because of the example that you and Mom had set up for years before
Okay.
that, right? Had I not had this experience and this background of First Covenant, maybe I would have had not that same expectation. But that is the expectation that I had. Anyway, so I remember being on one specific block of downtown, and it wasn't very far from First Covenant. It was in a slightly rougher area, but I felt safe the whole time. So
Because you knew
I
people.
yeah. And what ended up happening, I remember there being maybe 20 homeless people in front of, I want to say it was an old post office, but it was an old building. And they were just sitting there hanging out. And we walked up to the group, and the person who was leading the group did, welcomed us, I guess, and kind of introduced us, and then asked, "Hey, does anybody need prayer? We would love to pray over you guys for whatever you're going through and what you need." And a couple of the homeless people did like step up and ask, and we would pray over them. We would ask them their name, pray over them, give them hot chocolate, and that was it.
Okay. Did everybody get hot chocolate?
No,
Who got hot chocolate?
the people who asked for prayer.
If you didn't ask for prayer, you didn't get any hot chocolate.
Yeah.
We just move on.
Yeah, and I remember like we were carrying a like one or two crafts of hot chocolate, so I'm sure there was a reason in that, and that
Yeah.
far exceeded what we needed.
And
to
you
know,
guys
but-
were used to the opposite, where we just freely give, and
Yeah.
we don't give you a reward for being prayed over,
And that's what it kind of felt
Yeah.
like, yeah.
or you don't get denied because you didn't ask for prayer.
Yeah, I think for me, I walked away from that experience feeling more separated from people my own age because I felt like the odd one out for
Yeah.
being comfortable in those situations.
And you guys actually met somebody you knew. Was it that's like what happened?
Yeah.
It was actually at that spot that
Yeah.
I was telling you about. Can I say her name? Is that okay?
Yeah, I don't think she'd mind. She's in the book, so
Dottie. And
Dottie.
we love Dottie. We love her so much. She's always so kind. She was like mine and Kelsey's biggest fan, and just always so warm and welcoming. Always gave us a hug. Great.
she
hugger.
loved listening to you guys sing and lead and worship.
She was so fabulous. So we ended up bumping into her there, and I remember Kelsey and I were kind of hanging out in the back of the group because we had already started feeling kind of uncomfortable. And so Dottie said one of our names. Anyway, came up to us, gave us a big hug. We were chatting for a little bit, just catching up. What are you doing down here? And all this, we're praying over people and giving hot chocolate. And how are you doing? And it was great. And then we walked away from that conversation, and the person who was leading our group walked up to us and was like, "Oh my gosh, how do you know her? You're so familiar. You're so friendly." Like, friendly is probably not the right word, but familiar is probably a better word.
Yeah.
And we were just, this is what we do. Like, our parents run this homeless ministry, and, these people are coming over to our church every week, and so they know our faces, and they know our names, so we know Dottie. She's a friend of ours.
Yeah.
And they were like, wow.
But you were experiencing this strange suburban youth group experience doing a mission trip downtown, where the goal was to be kind to the homeless people, but simultaneously make sure we don't ever meet them.
It felt a little bit like that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I would say it was I don't this is just the perspective I had. I don't know how true this is. It's been 15 years since
Yeah.
but I think the perspective was safety first, and we don't know how dangerous these people are without looking at them as, well, Jesus ministered to the poor, and if they're created in Jesus's image, then they're no different than us, right? Maybe different outcomes, different life, but you and Mom raised us and being called into this ministry with this concept that still stays with me today, that I've shared even into the church I'm at 3,000 miles away in Florida, where it's like you love them until they ask why.
Yeah.
And it's this concept of you should look so different from the world that when people look at you, it should be a sense of why are you different than those around me? And I didn't feel like walking away from that encounter that we looked any different than the world.
Well, and you guys would have lots of those kind of experiences even outside of youth group, just walking around downtown. And you told me once a story about Cadillac.
Yeah.
Cadillac. So let me explain Cadillac. He was a black guy we had coming to our church. He was so cool. Big dude, tough dude. Everybody was a little bit afraid of Cadillac. I never was, because he and I got along great. And I heard a story one time. Some of the street guys told me, "Oh yeah, he came up here from Texas because he killed a guy in Texas, and he's hiding out from the law, blending in Spokane to stay away." That was the story I got. And I'm like, "Really?" And so oh yeah, absolutely, man. They were scared of him. So I decided, I knew Cadillac, so I asked him one day. I said, "Hey, Cadillac, the story on you is you're up here because you're hiding out from Texas because you killed a guy down in Texas." And he's like, "Nah, that ain't true. Hey, but don't tell anybody because I could really use that." Okay, secrets between you and me, Cadillac. I'll keep your secret safe that you didn't kill a guy in Texas. So anyway, he hung out a lot. I don't know that he came to church services, but he was in the meals a lot, and he knew you guys. And so tell us your story about Cadillac.
Yeah. I remember in the early years of doing the feeds, Anika and I kind of hung out behind the kitchen with mom. And then eventually we would make our way out where it's like, all right, we're all eating. Go find dad at one of the tables amongst the 100+ homeless people in the room. And we would walk in and people would just, know who we are. Oh, Pastor Rob's daughters, or oh, I heard you guys singing or something. So it felt relational to be amongst the room. And it was very hard to find you because you blended in so well.
I blended in with all the street people.
Yeah.
I didn't undress like this in the room.
And some of them were some of the most perfect gentlemen, right? They'd see us come and move aside or something like that. And Cadillac was one that it was an experience where Anika and I felt very comfortable walking around downtown at almost any part of the day, right?
Always felt safe.
Yeah.
And we were, I think we were doing a photo shoot or something with some of our friends from school, because we did theater a lot. So we were doing something and we were walking around downtown and we wanted to take photos down this really kind of creepy alley.
But it had
We're
some cool
teenagers.
backdrop, cool
backdrops,
architectural features.
right?
Yeah.
And so we make the turn into the alley and we run into Cadillac in this alley and he goes, oh, Pastor Rob's daughters. And we start chatting with him for a while. And he's a kind of big guy, so he can be very intimidating for young single high school girls who are just walking down this alley because they think we're super protected.
Yeah.
And he turned to us and he goes, he asked us why we were going down the alley. We told him we want to get some photos. He's like, well, it's not safe here. So let me escort you around downtown. Let me keep you guys safe because you're Pastor Rob's daughters.
Yeah.
Right.
And what were your friends thinking at that time?
I think they were blown away. It was hard having friends, and that we just felt different.
Because you're coming down out of the very rather affluent neighborhood suburbs of way north Spokane, and you're walking around downtown, and the homeless guys know you. Pastor Rob's daughters, we're here to protect you. And you would get that a lot downtown.
Almost everywhere.
You knew a ton of homeless people in the downtown streets who would look out for you.
Yeah, we were heavily protected. Even if we were just walking outside of the Riverfront Mall, we ran into a homeless guy that was just, asking for money or something. We would just get to talking. And it was very normal for us to just.
And the other guys would swoop around, and I would get this a lot at the meals. Sometimes some guy would act all uppity, right? And I'd have to throw him out because I had to be the heavy. And every time I would go to throw a guy out, I'd hear this boom, 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 boom behind me. And I'd turn around and look, and like 6 or 7 of the big dudes would be standing behind me. I'd help escort this guy outside. He'd go down the alley, and I would turn around and look at these homeless guys, and they're like, we're not going to let anything happen to you, Pastor Rob. I'm like, okay, they were very protective of me, and obviously of you guys then. You're Pastor Rob's daughters. We're not going to let anything happen to you. Hey, you're safe.
Yeah.
So you could go to the bus terminal and you'd be fine.
Totally fine.
Yeah.
I think it's my friends probably today in Florida would say I'm not an observant person. And I think that probably goes back to these adolescent years where I didn't have to be because I knew around every corner someone was looking out for me.
Yeah. That's kind
of a little
wild.
Different in today's world.
A very different experience. Well, and you also had this sense that some people that everybody else thinks are sketchy are great people.
Yeah.
And they just wouldn't know because they wouldn't ever get the time to know them, and you got to know them.
Yeah.
And I think you had, there was another guy who helped you guys with, was it self-defense classes?
Yeah. So I think early on as the dinners and things grew, or lunches, it became very difficult, I think, at times for Anika and I to get there so early in the mornings, right? You would leave already to do worship practice on a Sunday morning. Anika and I started to learn to drive by now, so we would come a little later. And there were times where you would have us stay in our car until you sent mostly a homeless person out who was serving in some type of ministry.
See, now I don't remember having you guys go to the
and
car.
I
remember you guys being inside all the time.
We were never allowed to walk from our car doors into the church parking lot that early in the morning without being escorted.
Oh, that's what you're talking about. Yeah. So you would arrive at church.
Or someone would open the side door and watch us walk into the building. So there was this sense of you always had someone there to watch us.
Yeah.
And that translated into one of the homeless men who was started to work for the church, I think at this time, would take us during the feedings while mom is working with her volunteers, and we would do self-defense classes with him. He would teach us certain self-defense techniques in the gymnasium, like how to punch, how to, that's where I
You
learned the
remember
throw
this story
punch.
a lot more than I do.
It's where I
but-
learned you can't punch with your thumbs in.
Oh,
You had
I
to keep
do
your thumbs
remember
out.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
where we
remember
learned
that.
how to
Okay.
throw some punches and
And that was Tom. I remember Tom was teaching you guys self-defense classes and Cadillac escorting you downtown. And so you guys had a very backward church upbringing for your teen years.
Yeah.
And nowadays in the modern era, everybody says, oh, you got to put your kids in a fantastic youth group and they got to be grounded and well-formed or otherwise they don't turn out. They'll walk away from the faith. And yet here you guys are. You're both over 30 now. So where's your Christian faith now? What do you do now?
I would say that the Lord really got a hold of my heart only about 3-4 years ago. It took me running away from things I didn't quite understand to truly appreciate now in my walk with the Lord and yearn for a deeper intimacy of what we had. Like listening to your audiobook and the stories, there's a sense of which I appreciate so much more because I understand who God is.
Because you didn't at the time. Now you're hearing the stories now, 10, 15 years later, and they have a freshness to them. Like and subscribe on the podcast channel. Like and subscribe. Make comments. That would help. And so you're listening back and you're like, you remember those events, but you see them differently.
Yeah, for me, and I won't speak to you, but for me, when I moved to Florida, I relished in the fact that I was the different type of Christian in a way that was almost anti any type of church authority.
Okay.
And so even if
You didn't like hierarchical
No.
structures. You didn't like,
Mm-mm.
you liked the raw, earthy, down on the street thing,
Yes.
and they weren't offering that.
Not even that. I don't think I truly understood what the Bible actually said and what I truly believed in terms of reading it for myself
Okay.
and having that own relationship
Yeah.
encounter. I would say I had like religion and understanding of how to love, but no like heart change with it.
Yeah.
It was a rebellious nature because
Okay.
it was protective walls.
Well, for both of you guys, church was work.
Yes.
A lot of work for a lot of hours because we would show up at really early in the morning, run through rehearsal, get ready to church, run church, then go in the back. We would cook meals and be there all day. We would get home. We would have family dinner. I remember after family dinner when we would pack 100 snack or lunch
paper bags,
sack
yeah,
lunches
sack lunches.
every single Sunday.
Yeah.
100 sack lunches that would go down to the community court. So it was a long day
Yeah.
of church is work. Ministry is work. Ministry drains you, and you weren't getting the same thing poured back into you because it was like all sacrifice and no coming back in.
Yeah, I would say that that's a great way to describe it. It was a lot of pouring out and no one pouring in. Like we had your sermons that, I would say definitely the Lord has used in my life, but we had no peers.
Yeah.
We had no.
She didn't even know how other Christians were.
We had
at
no
your
one
age.
in the fight with us at our age,
Yeah.
and it was very lonely. And it took me kind of having this wake up time with the Lord in my own walk for Him to bring me to a point where I understood ministry is love and ministry is doing the hard things, and ministry is where my passion in my life is now. I love ministry.
So you never left church.
No.
You just never got involved. You were an attendee for a long time. You moved to Florida 8 years ago?
Almost 9, yeah.
Orlando.
Yeah.
You're going to Orlando's Calvary Chapel.
Yes.
What do you do now?
Shout out to Pastor Will. Now they have the girl I was when I first walked in those doors is amazing to just how good God is when you just give Him everything. My first year there, I arrived late and left early, and I expected it was the Christians who attended the church to meet me when I didn't actually make any effort to meet them. And so now, almost 9 years later, I lead our singles ministry, which are just a wonderful group of young
Come on
girls.
in, set the drinks down. I know you guys been jamming busy.
Yeah.
today.
Do you guys
The
like cinnamon?
church
Oh,
coffee
yeah.
shop has been very full on this
I know,
Saturday.
but look
So
at this.
all right.
Worth the wait.
Oh, there we go. Now you're talking. Getting a little.
Oh my gosh, she's gonna.
Oh yeah, yeah. You don't get that in just any coffee shop. Rocking and oh
Incredible.
yeah.
That's the
All
Yeah,
right.
that's me.
Thank you.
Oh, well worth the wait.
much.
Well worth the wait here. Patati Coffee. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
So I lead our singles ministry, which is just women getting together that are looking to connect. I
Yeah.
do a breakfast every other month, and we have a woman in a different season that comes and the Lord puts something on
So-
their heart and they share it, and it's
Wait,
great.
you lead both the singles ministry and the women's
I
ministry?
serve on our women's ministry under our pastor's wife, and then
Okay.
I lead our singles ministry, and
Yeah.
then I am pretty involved in any type of conference or anything that I can
Because
serve.
you got a degree in hospitality, you do a lot of church
I
events
did
too.
get my degree in event management.
Event management.
I am my mother,
Yeah.
but I think the Lord has been able to use those gifts now that I've given them over to His kingdom for anything He desires, and
Yeah.
it has been where I thrive.
You're
It's my
thriving.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're looked to as a leader in your church.
I yes.
Yeah, you're not just
Yeah.
a hangout girl who's like, oh, she attends and sits in the back row with those other four people in the same seats every day.
I think that my friends would say our joke is we love aggressively. In a sense of, if you come into the doors, we will pursue you. We will chase you down. You and I will have coffee, dinner. You're going to be at my house. I probably the first Sunday I met one girl, I invited her over because we were having a Super Bowl party. It's just a community of love, and
Okay.
I thought I would never find that, and
Yeah.
I'm very blessed.
And it took you a while in Orlando before you found Calvary Chapel Orlando to
Yeah.
really be that home.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And Nika, now
Yeah.
you stayed in and out of Spokane and traveled to Chicago and got in the acting world and back to Spokane and running a spa.
Yeah.
What do you do? What happened? Where are you at now?
So I'm at a really. I live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, with my husband, and we
You just crossed the 1 year anniversary, right?
we just crossed the 1 year anniversary.
Carson's sitting
Yep.
over there.
Yes. Yeah, we did, which is amazing, and that's a whole incredible story of the goodness of God in itself. So I work at a really big theater out there that is geared specifically in putting stories on the stage that are from the Bible.
Yeah.
Not like Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat kind of Bible stories, but like we have a team of people specifically dedicated and working at pulling scripture out of the Bible and turning it into authentic, real musicals for a huge
and they're
production.
big. So
And they're
it's theologically accurate, biblically accurate, Sight and Sound Theaters, and there's one in Lancaster, and there's another offshoot in Branson.
Branson.
You worked at Branson, now you're in
Now I'm in
Lancaster,
Lancaster, yeah.
and you got to look them up because they're huge. I mean, bigger than like Les Mis, bigger than
It's pretty big.
Phantom of the Opera. I mean, their sets are phenomenal. It's incredible. So you're there. What do you do?
So I work as the project manager assistant in the costume department. So my job is to basically make sure that everybody's hitting their timelines and their deadlines, making sure that everything is flowing the right way,
Yeah.
so that once we get to what we call the changeover season, in the normal theater world, you would call that like a tech season, that everything is ready to go.
So
We have what we
it's a
need.
Christian company, technically a business, but heavily emphasizing the ministry part.
Yes.
Not quite altar calls, but definitely offers of salvation at every show.
Absolutely.
And you guys
Yeah.
do how many shows a year?
A year, I don't know. We do 11 shows a week.
11 shows a week,
Mm-hmm.
all year long.
All year long. We open in March and we close in January.
And I remember hearing that Branson's theater did 700,000 people a year came through Branson. As that's what happens in Lancaster too?
Not as much. Branson is much more of a tourist-driven town. Lancaster does see a high tourism, but I don't know what the number is.
Yeah. So you were 4 years in Branson?
I was 4 years in Branson.
And now you're in your first year at Lancaster and moving on to wanting to do more design work and the costuming and all of
I
that.
hope so. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
But your faith, tell us some more. Kind of, what did Jesus do with you after all those
Yeah.
years of downtown and knowing you're getting hugged by homeless street
I know.
Dottie and Cadillac escorting you around downtown to make sure you didn't get hurt?
Yeah, I think my story is a little bit similar to Kelsey's. For me, I think when I was younger, we were in the downtown church here. I think I was driven by a lot of my pride, and self-righteousness, I suppose is a good way to say it. Kind of like, oh, we're the unique ones. We are, like, you're talking about being the hands and feet of Jesus, but I am the hands and feet of Jesus. Like,
Okay.
we're going downtown and praying, and you're praying and giving them hot chocolate, but I know these people. I'm going to be hugging these people. So
So in a awkward way, working with the lowest rung of society made you prideful.
made me prideful.
How
And
weird.
I think that carried over into some other parts of my spiritual life, because then I think I found myself in my later years, like into my 20s, being a little bit judgmental. Like, I know the answer, and so you should listen to me because I've actually
Okay.
been there.
Okay.
So the Lord did a lot of work on humbling me. And there was a year or two in my life, actually a big chunk of the time that I was living in Branson, he worked on stripping down all of that pride and self-righteousness that I had carried in, to a lot of the things that I was, telling myself were good, or like, this is the right thing, this is what Jesus wants, but it actually made me feel good.
That's funny because I'm thinking about you getting baptized in a horse trough in the
Yeah.
middle of the sanctuary at First Covenant Church that didn't even have heat in the building, and you were surrounded by drunks and homeless people.
Yeah.
And then later on, you're working in lavish production ministries, and you were prideful from being in the homeless, baptized in a horse trough in a room that didn't even have heat.
Yeah.
God does what God has to do.
He does. And I think that's part of, like, why we as believers in Christ need to be really careful about the things we're doing in the name of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Because the enemy sees it too, and he hears it too, and he can come in there and do his manipulative thing. And before we even know it, in my case, I've taken this thing that was really, really good and really, truly, like, for the Lord and for his ministry. But at some point, my faith had come about the works that I was doing, So he spent a lot of time on stripping me down in that. And then, ironically, me being the extrovert, Kelsey kind of being the introvert our whole life, she's kind of gone through an extrovertedness in her faith, and I've kind of gone more into an introvert part of my faith, in the way of, I love one-on-ones with my people. I spent a huge amount of time, just me and Jesus, before Carson and I were married, learning what just, like, intimacy with Jesus Christ looks like, learning to know him as my God, my Savior, my Redeemer, but also my lover and my Father, like those deeper, intimate parts of Jesus Christ. And through that, I learned so much patience and so much gentleness.
Okay.
I like to think that I'm kind, and I think I am kind. I think I can say that in a humble way. And through those things that I've learned with him, and knowing what intimacy and aloneness with Jesus is, I love to sit one-on-one with people and learn their stories and hear their hearts and try to speak goodness and Christ into their life, when they're struggling through a thing, like, kind of, and not in like in a gentle way, but also in a confrontational way.
Okay.
So that's kind of more my journey now, is I love being that side.
All right. So here, you're going to say you were going to add something.
I was just going to, yes. It's interesting how you say introvert versus extrovert, because I did always think that I was more of the introvert. And even now, like, when you were like, oh, I'm going to record you guys because you're here, like, getting on camera, I'm like, oh, this is uncomfortable.
And I said, let's do it.
But I think I think that I would agree that the biggest thing it's taught me from going to be the lonely girl in the church, in the ministry, in the youth group, it has taught me to fervently pursue those that don't have community.
Yeah.
It's taught me to see the girl that's sitting in the back pew that I don't know your walk with the Lord. I don't know what he's teaching you, but I know you probably don't have soldiers in the fight with you. And if that's what the Lord is calling me to be now, and the ability that I do have is being single and having, nothing but him, then I'm going to connect you and I'm going to see what the Lord does, because it's something I didn't have. I didn't have someone connecting me at this age,
Yeah.
that age. And I think that that's the biggest thing that the ministry going through Lessons from a Church in Zombieland has reminded me of is we are supposed to pursue the lost. And sometimes those lost
Yeah.
are people who are just walking into your church who may know God but don't actually know God.
So now you sit in a room of 300 people and your eyes go to who looks lost, who's new, who needs a friend, who's scared to walk in here, and that's who you go to.
We have, I still to this day use Love Them Until They Ask Why. And so a lot of my friends and our ministry team have a group chat. So if some girl walks in, it's like, okay, so-and-so, redhead, blonde girl sitting in the back left corner, who's going to go talk to her? And I will literally just go up and I'll be like, oh, you're a young adult at this age, let me bring you over to like Abigail, who's part of our young adult. And I connect.
Cool.
And you pursue. That's our job, is to pursue the
So
lost.
you've got eyes to see and hearts to feel and ears to hear the people who are trying it out, who are scared to be there, but boom, you bring them in. So this Sunday it'll be kind of fun. Tomorrow we're going to sing worship together, and we pulled out an old song set from 15 years ago. Maybe swapped one or two songs. We're going to do old school worship like we did way back in the day. And we'll be doing that tomorrow. And then I think that'll be the first time we've done a worship together in 10 years more, at least. So that's going to be fun, playing guitar and all that. Well, thank you, girls, for taking the time to share this story. I'm going to post it on my YouTube channel, and hopefully it'll encourage people. Again, like, subscribe, go to the podcast, listen to the book, Lessons from a Church in Zombieland, and thanks, girls, for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks
All
for
right.
having us.